In multicellular animals, coordination between various organs of the body and regulation of various activities of the body are under the control of two systems. Hormones exert control over slower processes such as growth, metabolism and reproduction. The nervous system controls the faster responses through nerve impulses. These two systems are closely integrated in the whole organism. The study of nervous system forms one of the largest branches of the physiology, namely neurophysiology. The study of neurophysiology is very fascinating because it touches the innermost problems of biology, behavior and mind, production and propagation of nerve impulses. Nerve impulses are propagated through the nerve cells or neurons by a self-regenerating process. Neuron. The neuron is a structural and functional unit of the nervous system. The nerves are composed of many neurons covered by a connective tissue sheath. Two types of neurons can be distinguished. A multipolar neuron consists of a cell body, one long process known as the axon, and a few shorter branches called dendrites. The unipolar neuron possesses only one process. Out of the branches that arise close to the cell body, dendrites carry excitation to the cell body, whereas axons spread excitation away from the cell body. Dendrites branch extensively close to the cell body in the pattern of a tree, while the axons are long, slender process. Usually, one such process emerges from the cell body. The terminal branches of axons end in knob-like or ribbon-like structure, the terminal lobes. The collaterals are the third type of branches which arise from the sides of the axons and make contact with other nerve cells. The nucleus of the neuron is surrounded by the perikaryon or soma. Afferent neurons carry impulses to the central nervous system, while the efferent neurons, on the contrary, propagate impulses away from the central nervous system. Afferent neurons are also known as sensory neurons and the efferent neurons as motor neurons. Propagation of nerve impulse. In spite of the wide diversity in size, structure and position, the nerve cells can be functionally distinguished into three regions: the generator, conductive and transmissional regions. The generator region is restricted to the dendrites, soma and collaterals. The conductive region is the axon, and the transmissional region comprises the nerve endings or nerve terminals. What is a nerve impulse? A nerve impulse has been defined differently by different workers. Prosser defined it as a sum total of physical and chemical reactions which take place in the propagation of the wave of physiological activity along the nerve fiber. Gitlin has suggested that nerve impulse is a phenomenon which involves both chemical and physical reactions. In a simpler language, the nerve impulse can be explained by performing this experiment. Stimulate a motor nerve. You find that a muscle contracts. This means that something has passed from the first point to the second point. This something can easily be defined as the nerve impulse. It involves chemical and electrical changes that travel over the length of the fiber. Nature of the nerve impulse. A nerve impulse travels along the nerve fiber by a series of steps. These steps are both chemical and electrical in nature. The chemical reactions of a nerve impulse at any given segment of a nerve fiber consume oxygen and require energy. In addition, carbon dioxide is produced and a rise in temperature occurs. Electrical changes accompany these localized chemical changes. When the nerve fiber is stimulated, the properties of the membrane are changed and the resulting impulse travels at the same rate. In this way, it may be concluded that the nerve impulse is not an electric current but an electrochemical disturbance that takes place along the nerve fiber. How neurons work? Neurons work by the production and propagation of action potentials, which are waves of electrical activity that pass along the neurons. This occurs because the membrane of a neuron is electrically unstable, which means that the potential difference that exists across the neuronal cell membrane can transiently change. Before the generation and transmission of action potentials are considered, it is necessary to look at the electrical activity of the neuronal cell membrane at rest. The resting membrane potential. What is resting membrane potential? Neurons, like other cells, have a potential difference or voltage across their membranes. This potential difference is called the resting membrane potential. This voltage can be measured using intracellular electrodes. When measured experimentally, the resting membrane potential is generally of the order of 75 microvolts, the inside of the neuron being negative with respect to the outside. It should be remembered that neither the inside nor the outside of the neuron are charged solutions. There is no inherent potential difference either inside or outside the neuron. The potential difference exists between the two regions of the neuron. The membrane potential could be compared with the potential of a battery. The resting membrane potential can easily be understood if we consider the distribution of ions across the neuronal cell membrane together with the differential permeability of the neuronal cell membrane to various ions. The ionic components of intracellular and extracellular fluids are ion, extracellular fluid, intracellular fluid. Sodium, extracellular fluid 155, intracellular fluid 15. Potassium, extracellular fluid 4, intracellular fluid 125. Chloride, extracellular fluid 100, intracellular fluid 8. There is an unequal distribution of ions across the neuronal cell membrane. This is true for other ions and also for other cell types. It is important to note that at rest, the neuronal cell membrane is highly permeable to K plus ions. This is because at rest, K plus channels in the cell membrane are open and permit the passage of K plus ions. The membrane is far less permeable to Na plus ions, only about 1/25 that of K plus. The role played by sodium ion permeability in determining the resting membrane potential is very important. The permeability to ions is determined by the presence of selective ion channels in the cell membrane. Selective meaning that only one particular type of ion may move through the channel. Thus there are K plus channels which only allow potassium ions to move through them, Na plus channels which only allow sodium ions to move through them, and so on. The channel can be thought of as a protein pore which spans the cell membrane and which may either be closed or open. When a particular channel is open, movement of ions across the membrane may occur, and when the channel is closed, movement of ions is prevented. The role of the potassium ions in determining the resting membrane potential is to be considered. Because of the unequal distribution of potassium across the cell membrane, there is a large outwardly directed K plus concentration gradient. This means that potassium will tend to move out of the cell as the cell membrane is fully permeable to this ion due to the presence of open potassium channels. As potassium ions move out of the neuron, they take positive charges with them, and the inside of the neuron becomes negatively charged. Both the intracellular fluid and extracellular fluid are electrically neutral, containing the same total number of positive and negative charges. The number of potassium ions which actually generate this potential difference across the membrane is very small. The loss of potassium ions across the membrane cannot continue indefinitely because the buildup of positive charge on the outside of the neuron due to the potassium ions which have already left the neuron will prevent further movement of potassium ions outwards as like charges repel. At this point, there will be a dynamic equilibrium between the movement of potassium out of the cell down its concentration or chemical gradient and the movement of K plus back into the cell down its electrical gradient. Remember, the inside of the neuron is now slightly negatively charged. This situation is called electrochemical equilibrium. The electrical and concentration gradients are now equal and opposite to each other. Therefore, at this point, there is no further net movement of K plus ions. The potential difference at which this equilibrium exists is called potassium equilibrium potential. This potential can be calculated using the Nernst equation. Potassium equilibrium potential EK is equal to 0.0267 log K plus out or K plus in, where EK is equal to potassium equilibrium potential in O's. K plus out is equal to extracellular concentration of potassium. K plus in is equal to intracellular concentration of potassium. The action potential. Action potentials are transient changes in membrane polarity when the interior of the neuron changes from being negatively charged to being positively charged for a few milliseconds. Action potentials are the means by which neurons convey information. They are transmitted down the entire length of the axons of the neuron. In some cases, at velocities of up to 120 meters per second. This velocity of conduction only occurs in large myelinated neurons. In smaller non-myelinated axons, the velocity of action potential conduction may only reach 2.5 meters per second. One other important aspect of action potential is that it is transmitted without decrement along the entire length of the axon, so that the size of the action potential at the axon inlet is exactly the same size as the action potential that appears at the axon terminal. What then is the ionic basis of the action potential? The action potential reflects the opening of channels and the influx of the positive ions into the interior of a neuron following a stimulus of some sort. For example, when investigating the action potential experimentally or activation from another neuron in real life, not all stimuli will generate an action potential. Only stimuli which are able to bring the resting membrane potential to a threshold level will suffice. This action potential threshold is a membrane potential some 10 to 15 millivolts above that of the RMP. At threshold, a positive feedback mechanism is initiated whereby the initial entry of sodium ions leads to the further entry of sodium ions and so on. This initial change in the membrane potential is known as depolarization. The fact that Na plus is responsible for this depolarization can be checked by calculating the sodium equilibrium concentration using the Nernst equation. By using the values for sodium concentrations in the extracellular fluid and intracellular fluid in the Nernst equation, a value of plus 6 MV will be obtained. This coincides with the peak voltage generated during an action potential. Almost as soon as the sodium channels have opened, they close and a further series of K plus channels open. This causes the membrane potential to begin to return to its resting value, that is, the resting membrane potential. This is termed repolarization and results in the removal of positive charge in the form of potassium ions from the interior of the neuron. The potassium channels that are opened during the action potentials are relatively slow to close, which means that too much positive charge is lost from the neuron. This is termed the after hyperpolarization and is indicated in the diagram of action potential. This overshoot is corrected by the sodium or potassium and ATPase pump, which exchanges Na plus for K plus. Transmission of the action potential along the axon. The action potentials which generate the axon inlet have to pass to the axon terminal before they can influence other neurons, muscle or glandular tissue. They do so by the generation of local currents. What happens is that during an action potential, the positive charge on the inside of the axon membrane is drawn towards the adjacent negatively charged region of the membrane at rest. The influx of positive charge tends to move the membrane potential of this region towards threshold. Once threshold is reached, an action potential is generated. This continues all the way down the axon to its terminal. The reason that myelination increases the speed at which action potentials are transmitted is that instead of each immediately adjacent region of membrane having to become depolarized, the action potential jumps from one node of Ranvier to the next. This is called saltatory conduction. The fact that the axon is myelinated means the movement of the ions necessary for production of action potential is prevented except at the naked regions of the membrane. Therefore, the only places that the required movement of ions may occur are at the non-myelinated nodes of Ranvier, and thus the action potential appears to jump from one node to the next down the length of the axon. In this way, the velocity with which the action potential is transmitted down the length of the axon increases. A simple analogy would be walking a certain distance in less time by taking larger strides as opposed to small steps. The synapse, according to Sherrington, is the functional connection between two neurons. Between the presynaptic membrane and postsynaptic membrane, a cleft of several angstrom units is present, known as synaptic cleft. Classification. On the basis of the nature of connection between two neurons, synapses can be classified into three types: axosomatic synapses, axodendritic synapse, axonic synapse. Synaptic transmission. The mechanism by which an action potential travels from presynaptic membrane to postsynaptic membrane is known as synaptic transmission. It has been observed that there is a time delay between the arrival of an impulse at the presynaptic membrane and its transmission to postsynaptic membrane. This time lag is called synaptic delay, which is very important in deciding the manner in which transmission is taking place. Two most important types of synapses are: 1. Neuroneuronal transmission. 2. Neuromuscular transmission. 1. Neuroneuronal transmission. The synapse between two neurons is called neuroneuronal synapse. Of these two neurons, one is known as presynaptic neuron and the other as the postsynaptic neuron. The synapse may be formed by the union of any part of a neuron with any other part of other neuron. Electron microscopic studies have revealed that glial cells are absent at synapses. A narrow gap is present between the membranes of the two neurons called synaptic cleft. This cleft measures about 100 to 400 angstroms. In some synapses, fibrils exist between the presynaptic and postsynaptic membranes called synaptic filaments. In some vertebrates, there is subsynaptic web or subsynaptic reticulum beneath the postsynaptic membrane at the region of the presynaptic membrane. There are synaptic vesicles. These vesicles are surrounded by membranes and contain some chemical substances which function as neurotransmitters. During the transmission of an impulse, the synaptic vesicles release these chemical substances into the synaptic cleft. At the region of the presynaptic membrane, there are present several mitochondria along with the synaptic vesicles. 2. Neuromuscular synaptic transmission. The junction between a neuron and a muscle fiber results in the formation of neuromuscular synapse. The terminal of axon divides into several branches known as end plates. The end plates penetrate into myofibrils but not into the plasma layer of myofibril. There is a gap between neuron and myofibril, known as neuromuscular junction. It resembles neuronal synapse. The synaptic cleft, the neuromuscular junction, is folded into secondary synaptic clefts. Functional properties of synapses. 1. A nerve impulse is transmitted by a synapse from one neuron to the other or an effector organ, myofibril or gland tissue. 2. A nerve impulse is allowed to pass through synapse in only one direction, that is from telodendrites of a neuron to the protodendrites of other neuron. This is called as law of forward conduction. 3. The velocity of conduction of nerve impulse in a synapse is slower than in the nerve axon, which is known as synaptic delay.